Man's word is his wand of power. Every word spoken sets laws in motion, seen or unseen. If you desire wealth, you must first understand that the universe operates through divine laws, and these laws respond not to chatter and idle confession, but to quiet conviction and unwavering faith. When you speak too soon or to the wrong ears, you scatter your forces, you dilute your magnetism. The seeds of your abundance are still germinating in the invisible, and speaking them too early is like digging up a seed before it roots. People often believe that in order to bring their dreams to life, they must tell everyone about them. They think that broadcasting their plans will somehow make them more real. But the truth is, spiritual power moves in silence. It grows in sacred secrecy. The law of non-resistance teaches us to avoid unnecessary friction, and when you expose your desires to unprepared minds, you invite resistance, judgment, and even envy. That is a misuse of your creative word. There are 7 things, 7 delicate truths, you must hold sacred if you truly wish to become rich. These are not just practical matters, but energetic ones. For example, your plans, your income, your struggles, your sources, your intentions, your giving, and your spiritual practices. These are sacred fires that must not be exposed to winds. When you tell someone your plans, and they respond with doubt or sarcasm, their words may act as weeds in your mental garden. And unless your consciousness is strong and clean, those weeds can choke your faith. So many have blocked their financial success simply by over-talking it. They build castles of gold in the spirit, only to let the drawbridge down too early, allowing others in who do not see what they see. And then they wonder why the riches do not arrive. The mind must be a fortress, with your desires guarded like a treasure chest until the time is right. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Your riches are already present in divine mind. They are waiting for you to become a perfect channel. Clear, focused, and disciplined in thought, word, and deed. Every careless word is like a hole in the bucket of abundance. Guard your tongue, not with tension, but with peace. Hold your vision in silence. Speak only to those whose consciousness aligns with yours. The universe rewards discretion, for it signals trust, strength, and spiritual maturity. Remember, the world is full of dream snatchers and idea drainers, not from malice, but from ignorance. Speak your desires only when guided by the divine nudge, and even then, speak in truth, not in fear or pride. Power does not announce itself with noise. It moves in stillness, confidence, and alignment. Let your silence be your signal to the universe that you are ready. Ready not just to dream of wealth, but to receive it. Guard your desires with sacred silence. This is not simply a suggestion. It is a spiritual law woven into the fabric of manifestation. In the unseen realm where thought is form and words are seeds, silence is the womb of creation. Desires, especially those tied to abundance and prosperity, are delicate in their early stages. They exist first in the realm of spirit, intangible, formless, and susceptible to interference. When you speak too soon, you expose them to the winds of opinion, doubt, envy, and resistance. These forces may not be malicious, but they can be powerful enough to delay, or even destroy the flowering of your good. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up each morning to see if it has sprouted. You trust the process. You water it, nurture it, and keep it protected until the shoot is strong enough to face the sun. So too it is with your desires. They must be kept in the soil of your subconscious, nurtured by affirmations and faith, and watered with gratitude. Silence, then, becomes your protective force field. It is not secrecy born of fear, but of reverence. The spiritual realm rewards those who treat their visions with honor, who understand that premature exposure can unravel the delicate threads of divine timing. When a person voices their desire to the wrong ear, they invite analysis, criticism, or even casual dismissal. Each of these responses carries energetic weight. The law of vibration teaches us that all thoughts and words emit a frequency. When someone responds to your desire with fear, ridicule, or disbelief, that vibration can enter your field, unless your consciousness is fully fortified. If it is not, the frequency of their doubt can begin to mix with your intention, diluting its purity and scattering its focus. Some people speak their desires out of excitement, needing external validation to believe it themselves. But this reveals a lack of spiritual certainty. The one who truly knows the power of their word does not need an audience. They do not require applause or confirmation. They trust that the divine hears their silent decree, and that the universal supply has already begun to shift in their favor. In the silence, they speak to infinite intelligence, not to man. They affirm that which is not yet seen as though it were, and their conviction is unshakable. The moment you guard your desires with silence, you shift your point of power inward. You declare to the universe, I trust you. I trust myself. I trust the process. You disengage from the collective habit of oversharing, and instead align yourself with the rhythm of natural growth. Every great oak tree was once a hidden acorn, buried and unseen. It did not announce itself, nor did it seek permission to grow. It simply grew, silently and steadily, because it obeyed the law of life. When you withhold your desires from idle conversation, you conserve your energy. You protect your vision from being dissipated across too many channels. Energy flows where attention goes, and when your attention is fragmented by the reactions of others, you lose focus. Silence enables concentration. Concentration empowers manifestation. In silence, you are not subject to external influences. You become a clear channel through which divine ideas can flow and crystallize. People often believe that they must speak it into existence, and indeed, the spoken word is powerful. But speaking is only potent when it is backed by inner authority and alignment. Speaking out of nervousness, insecurity, or the need for reassurance weakens your vibration. The real power is in the calm knowing, the inner declaration that does not require sound to exist. Some of the most powerful prayers are wordless. They are felt, believed, and received in the silence between thoughts. The same is true for your desires. Guarding them with silence allows you to commune with the unseen forces that shape your reality. There is also a discipline in silence. It requires maturity not to speak. It requires awareness to resist the urge to share everything. Many people speak to fill space, to feel heard, or to gain approval. But the spiritually disciplined individual recognizes that silence is not emptiness. It is full of creative force. It is a magnet for divine ideas. In stillness you receive instruction. In quiet you hear the whispers of inspiration. If you are always talking, you cannot listen. And if you cannot listen, you cannot be guided. Your desires need more listening than speaking. They need your faith, not your explanation. Guarding your desires also helps you avoid the energetic entanglements that come with other people's projections. Everyone sees life through their own lens of belief, which is shaped by their experiences, fears, and limitations. When you share your vision with someone who carries lack consciousness, they will reflect it back to you. They may not mean harm, but their words can carry the energy of restriction. If you are not yet anchored in prosperity consciousness, their words can plant doubt where there was once faith. It is not about mistrusting others, it is about trusting yourself more. When you keep your desires sacred, you demonstrate to yourself that you are enough, that you do not need external agreement to validate your dreams. This inner assurance creates a resonance that attracts opportunities, resources, and allies aligned with your purpose. You become magnetic, not by force, but by faith. People begin to sense your clarity, even without words. Your energy does the speaking for you. Silence also grants you the space to refine your desires. Sometimes we speak too soon, before the desire has fully formed. We announce a version that is only half-baked, only to later feel confused or embarrassed when our vision evolves. But when you remain silent, you give your inner self time to sculpt the desire, to explore its nuances, and to adjust it to match your highest good. Desire is not static, it is alive, it moves, changes, and deepens as you grow. Silence honors that process. The world moves fast and loudly. In a culture obsessed with visibility, guarding your desires may feel counterintuitive. But spiritual truth often runs opposite to worldly logic. The world says, tell everyone, make noise, get attention. Spirit says, Go within, be still. Align with the divine. One path leads to scattered energy and external chasing. The other leads to magnetic presence and effortless receiving. When you guard your desires with silence, you are choosing the latter. You are stepping into a higher order of creation, one that does not depend on outer noise but on inner knowing. Your desires are holy. They are messages from your higher self, hints of the life you are meant to live. Treat them as sacred. Speak them only when led by inner certainty, and even then, choose your audience wisely. Energy is always being exchanged. In silence you conserve yours. In silence, you build a field of power so strong, so concentrated, that when you do finally speak, creation obeys. Until then, let silence be your shield, your sanctuary, and your most powerful affirmation. Avoid sharing plans with unaligned minds. This truth, though simple, carries profound spiritual weight. The moment you birth a vision in your consciousness, it becomes sacred, a seed of divine intention placed in your mind by infinite intelligence. That seed must be nurtured in an atmosphere of faith, clarity, and alignment. Sharing your plans prematurely, especially with those whose thoughts and energies do not align with yours, can disrupt the delicate energetic balance required for manifestation. The universe does not operate on external approval. It responds to internal conviction. Every plan you make is like an architectural design of your future, drawn first in thought, then spoken into vibration, and finally constructed in material form. But not all minds are equipped to understand or support that design. Some people live in a state of fear, doubt, and limitation. Their perception is clouded by past failures, lack consciousness, and the habit of worry. When you present your plan to them, they do not see it with the eyes of faith, but through the lens of limitation. Their immediate reaction may be to question it, warn you of risks, or dismiss it as unrealistic. And while they may believe they are being practical or protective, what they are truly doing is projecting their own energetic blocks onto your pure idea. If your own consciousness is not yet firmly established, those projections can take root within you. They can weaken your faith, cloud your clarity, and distort the vision you once held with certainty. The act of sharing a plan is not neutral. It is a transaction, an energetic exchange. The moment you speak your intention aloud, you transfer some of its power into the atmosphere. The person receiving it becomes part of your field, influencing the vibration of the vision, even if unconsciously. If their thoughts and emotions contradict your goal, those frequencies mix with your own. That is why it is essential to be highly selective about who hears your plans. Only those whose consciousness supports your expansion, whose words uplift and affirm, and whose silence honors the sacredness of your journey, are worthy of receiving your vision. When you share a plan with someone who is unaligned, you risk entangling yourself in their fears. They may ask a question that plants a seed of doubt. They may make a facial expression that triggers old insecurities. They may tell a story of someone who tried and failed. And suddenly, without even realizing it, you begin to question your path. The energy that was once moving forward now pauses, hesitates, or reverses. This is not because your plan was flawed, but because your energy was disrupted. The soil of your subconscious, which once held the seed of your desire with warmth and faith, becomes chilled by the frost of another's disbelief. True manifestation requires alignment. Every thought, word, and feeling must be in harmony with the outcome you seek. To maintain that alignment, you must guard the energetic space around your plan. Not all minds are ready to witness what you are building. Some have not yet cleared the clutter of their own resistance. And when they encounter your clean and bold intention, it threatens their comfort. They may attempt, often unconsciously, to dim your light so theirs doesn't feel so small. This is not evil, it is ignorance. But ignorance can be just as destructive when allowed into your sacred field. Think of your plan as a delicate flame. In its early stages, it is easily extinguished by a gust of wind or a careless wave of the hand. The wrong words, the wrong tone, the wrong energy can be enough to snuff it out. Your job is to shield that flame until it becomes a fire so strong It cannot be put out by anything external. That strength comes through spiritual alignment, inner certainty, and selective sharing. You do not need to broadcast your plans to be confident in them. In fact, true confidence is quiet. It is the still, calm knowing that what you are building already exists in divine substance and is on its way into form. Unaligned minds are not just individuals with different goals or values. They are those who vibrate at a frequency incompatible with your desired outcome. They may speak of lack while you are affirming abundance. They may dwell on problems while you are focused on solutions. They may be ruled by logic while you are moved by intuition. When you share your plans with them, you invite friction. And friction creates delay. The universe responds most powerfully when your vibration is pure and uninterrupted. Even those closest to you, family, friends, mentors, may not be aligned. Love alone does not ensure support. Some people love you deeply but are deeply fearful. Their love expresses itself through caution, warnings, or attempts to protect you from disappointment. While their intentions may be good, their energy is not helpful. And energy is the currency of creation. You must learn to discern beyond words. Feel the vibration. Observe the patterns. Does this person celebrate growth or shrink from it? Do they expand your vision or narrow it? Do they speak life into your plans or sow seeds of confusion? There is a discipline in withholding. It is a form of spiritual self-respect. You are telling the universe, I honor this plan enough to protect it. You are saying to yourself, I do not need external confirmation, because I already have divine instruction. That level of inner strength is magnetic. It draws aligned circumstances, resources, and people into your field. You begin to attract those who recognize your vision, not through explanation, but through resonance. When your plans are held within your own consciousness, nurtured by faith, and surrounded by quiet alignment, they grow faster. They are not delayed by interference. They are not subjected to emotional entanglements. They are free to evolve naturally, guided by intuition and divine timing. Silence becomes your cocoon, a protective space where transformation can occur. And when the time comes to act or speak, you will do so from a place of clarity and power, not from the need to be seen or understood. It is not selfish to be selective, it is wise. Wisdom does not scatter its pearls. It waits for the proper setting, the proper moment, and the proper recipient. Your plans are pearls, reflections of your soul's intent. Share them only with those who treat them as such. Until then, let your energy speak louder than your words. Let your progress be your announcement. Let your alignment be your explanation. The spiritually aligned mind knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to share and when to conserve. In conserving your energy, you amplify your power. In protecting your vision, you accelerate its birth. Words carry creative and destructive power. Every syllable spoken, every sentence formed is not just communication. It is an act of creation or demolition in the invisible realm of spirit. This is not a metaphor, but a spiritual law as exact as mathematics. The spoken word is a vibratory force that calls into being that which it names. It shapes substance, molds conditions, and directs energy toward or away from your desires. Each time you speak, you are either affirming your faith or reinforcing your fear. The tongue is a tool that can bless or curse, uplift or suppress, build or shatter. Many people speak without awareness, unaware that every casual phrase becomes a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious. They repeat phrases born from lack, fear, limitation, and resistance, then wonder why their lives do not reflect abundance or joy. A person may declare, I'll never have enough, or things never work out for me. And the universe, being obedient to law, reflects that statement with precision. The law does not discriminate, it simply responds. It does not ask whether you meant it or not. It does not check for sarcasm or humor. It takes your word and sets it into motion. The creative word is law in action. What you consistently affirm becomes your experience. Words do not merely describe reality, they create it. They sculpt the invisible energy field that surrounds you, attracting or repelling people, opportunities and outcomes. To speak is to decree. Every complaint is a declaration of faith in what you do not want. Every word of doubt is an affirmation of delay. Every word of confidence, on the other hand, becomes a decree of manifestation. When you say, "I am prosperous," you are not just hoping. You are commanding the universe to rearrange itself to reflect that truth. When you say, "I am always guided," you are aligning with divine intelligence and opening the way for wisdom to flow to you. People often underestimate the power of idle words. They speak out of habit, influenced by the collective language of limitation. They join in gossip, sarcasm, or self-deprecation, not realizing that their subconscious is recording every word as instruction. The subconscious is always listening. It is literal, obedient, and emotionless. If you speak in jest about failure, it does not laugh. It does not wait for clarification. It takes your word as law and begins to align your reality accordingly. That is why spiritual discipline begins with the mouth. The disciplined individual guards their speech as a sacred channel, through which only truth, beauty, and abundance may flow. To become a master of your life, you must first become a master of your word. Speak only what you wish to see. Affirm only what you wish to experience. Declare only what you want to come true. This does not mean ignoring current circumstances, but refusing to reinforce them with negative reinforcement. It means choosing your words not based on what is happening, but based on what you are calling in. It is the practice of speaking from vision rather than reaction. Even in challenging times, the power of the word remains. Especially then, in fact, the temptation to speak fear, to describe chaos, or to echo despair is strongest when circumstances seem bleak. But that is when the spiritual warrior must become even more vigilant. To speak peace in the face of conflict, to declare abundance in the midst of need, to affirm health in the shadow of illness. This is spiritual mastery. The outer world may shout one thing, but your word must remain loyal to the truth of divine order. Words are not isolated. They create momentum. A single word spoken in faith can open doors, just as a single word spoken in fear can close them. When you begin to speak with intention, your entire energy shifts. You begin to notice the way others use their words. You begin to choose silence over meaningless chatter. You begin to feel the vibration behind the sentence. Words begin to feel heavier, more sacred. And you realize that speech is not to be wasted. It is to be wielded. The phrase, "I am," is the most powerful beginning to any sentence you can speak. It is the name of the divine within you. Whatever follows, "I am," becomes a command to your subconscious, a call to your environment, and a declaration to the universe. I am tired, I am poor, I am unlucky. These are not simple complaints, they are spiritual instructions. But so are, I am strong, I am open, I am worthy. Choose wisely what you attach to the name of God within you. The spiritual world listens for consistency. If your affirmations are strong in the morning, but your conversations are full of doubt by noon, you are sending mixed signals to the universe. Consistency of word builds momentum. It strengthens your vibrational field and establishes a frequency that can only attract what is in harmony with it. If your words are scattered, so will be your results. If your words are firm, clear, and intentional, so will be your reality. There is also great power in withholding words. Silence can be creative too. Not every feeling must be verbalized. Not every reaction deserves expression. When you hold your tongue, instead of speaking from fear or anger, you preserve energy. You allow the emotion to pass without solidifying it into form. Speaking a feeling gives it shape, remaining silent allows it to dissolve. There is wisdom in restraint. There is creation in stillness. The spoken word also influences those around you. When you speak faith, others rise with you. When you speak limitation, others contract. Your words are a ministry, whether you intend them to be or not. You are always teaching, always leading, always shaping energy by what you say. A single word of encouragement can shift someone's day. A single declaration of truth can ripple into unseen corners of consciousness. Speak as though every word carries weight, because it does. You are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the author of your reality. and your words are your pen. Every sentence you speak adds another line to the script you are writing. You can rewrite your story at any time by changing your vocabulary. Stop rehearsing the old narrative. Stop describing the life you no longer want. Begin to speak as the version of yourself who already has what you seek. Begin to speak not from what you see, but from what you know to be true in spirit. Words can become rituals. They can open portals to the divine. Speak blessings over your life daily. Bless your body, your finances, your relationships, your path. Use your voice as a channel of light. Let no complaint pass your lips without first transforming it into a declaration of power. Speak not just for yourself but for the collective. Speak as one who knows the law. Speak with the awareness that your word is not empty. It is the first form your desires will take before they appear in the material. Guard it, honor it. Use it with reverence. Let your word become a bridge between the invisible and the visible, between the thought and the thing. Discretion signals spiritual maturity. It is not simply about keeping secrets or avoiding conflict. It is a reflection of one's deep understanding of the laws that govern the invisible world. The spiritually mature individual knows that not all truths are meant to be spoken aloud, and not every revelation is meant to be shared. In a world that encourages constant expression, loud declarations, and immediate sharing, discretion becomes a rare and powerful form of inner mastery. It is the ability to hold your vision in quiet reverence, to walk in certainty without needing external validation, and to protect your desires with the armor of silence and wisdom. Discretion is not born from fear, but from clarity. It is knowing the value of what you carry within and refusing to expose it to energies that do not align. It is the conscious choice to move in alignment with divine timing, rather than forcing a revelation before it has taken root. A person who has matured spiritually understands that every thought, every desire, every plan carries energy. That energy must be nurtured in a protected environment if it is to grow strong. Just as you would not leave a young plant exposed to harsh winds or careless feet, you do not expose your spiritual treasures to careless listeners or skeptical minds. Spiritual growth brings with it a shift in what you feel compelled to share. The need to explain, to prove, to impress, begins to fall away. In its place arises a calm knowing. This knowing does not need to defend itself. It does not seek approval. It rests in divine confidence, and from this place, the soul becomes more selective with speech. Not because it is hiding, but because it recognizes that true power rarely announces itself. True power moves in silence, emerges in alignment, and reveals itself only when conditions are right. Discretion is also a form of self-respect. It is honoring your journey enough not to allow others to interfere with it prematurely. Many people feel the urge to share their plans the moment they form them. They speak their goals to friends, to family, to strangers online, thinking that verbalizing will bring them closer to reality. But the spiritually mature understand that speaking too soon can drain the energy of a dream. It can subject a pure intention to doubt, criticism, envy, or misunderstanding. Discretion is the awareness that your dream is not yet ready to withstand that. It is still being formed in the quiet places of your consciousness. It needs more belief and less exposure. Every time you share a vision or a desire, you open an energetic door. Through that door energy flows, yours and theirs. If the person you share with is aligned, supportive, and conscious, they may bless your vision, reinforcing it with faith. But if they are fearful, negative, or unconsciously limited, their energy may introduce distortion. The spiritually mature do not gamble with that exchange. They choose their conversations carefully. They speak only when their inner guidance gives the green light. They do not speak from impulse, but from intuition. They understand that silence is not emptiness. It is creative gestation. Discretion is a subtle strength. It does not seek attention. It does not need to prove anything. It allows things to unfold naturally, trusting that the right people, opportunities, and timing will reveal themselves without force. When you are spiritually mature, you stop feeling the urge to declare your intentions at every turn. You stop justifying your decisions. You stop performing for approval. You begin to trust your inner compass so deeply that others' understanding or misunderstanding becomes irrelevant. Those who have not yet reached this level of maturity may misread your silence. They may interpret it as secrecy, coldness, or withdrawal. But your silence is not an absence. It is a presence. It is filled with purpose. It is a sacred space where divine ideas are nurtured. The spiritually mature individual does not explain that silence. They do not feel the need to be understood. They are at peace with being misread, because they know that truth will reveal itself in time. The fruits of their labor will speak louder than any words ever could. Discretion is also about knowing the weight of your word. When you speak, you create ripples in the energetic field. A spiritually mature person does not waste words. They do not speak out of compulsion. They understand that every declaration, every conversation, every confession carries consequences. They pause before they speak. They consider whether their words are necessary, kind, and aligned. They do not overshare. They do not gossip. They do not speak to be heard. They speak to serve truth. In a world that values speed and exposure, discretion becomes a revolutionary act. It is an act of grounding. It is the refusal to rush, the decision to wait until the vision is clear, the energy is aligned, and the foundation is strong. The spiritually mature understand that rushing to share is often a sign of insecurity. The immature seek applause, affirmation, or reassurance. But the mature seek alignment. They know that what is truly theirs cannot be taken, and what is still forming must be protected. Discretion also allows space for the divine to work. When you hold back from speaking, you create a vacuum into which higher guidance can pour. You make room for the unseen to arrange itself on your behalf. If you fill that space with noise, you block the signal. You interfere with divine orchestration. The spiritually mature listen more than they speak. They are in tune with the subtle promptings of spirit. They know when to wait and when to move, when to speak and when to remain silent. They are not rushed by the world's urgency, because they are led by inner timing. Being discreet also strengthens intuition. The less you explain your inner process to others, the more clearly you can hear your own voice. External feedback can cloud your discernment. Too many opinions can drown out the subtle knowing that only you possess. Discretion is the commitment to preserve your sacred space. It is the honoring of your own soul's guidance above all else. It is the understanding that the path is walked within long before it is witnessed without. A spiritually mature person is not easily provoked into speech. They are not reactive. They are centered. They are measured. They are aware that timing is part of truth. Even a wise word spoken too soon can become a stumbling block. They wait for the moment when the soil is ready, when the listener is receptive, when the environment is supportive. They trust that silence can carry more power than premature declarations. They recognize that sacred things are not meant to be spoken lightly. Discretion is the quiet strength of the soul. It is the sacred discipline that allows greatness to unfold without interference. It is a declaration of trust in divine timing and inner truth. The spiritually mature are not led by the desire to be seen or known. They are led by the desire to be aligned. They do not chase exposure, they cultivate energy. They do not speak to validate, they speak to illuminate. Their words are rare, but when spoken, they are transformational. Because their silence was not a void. It was a preparation. It was the womb of power, the field of faith, the sacred ground where spirit took shape. Wealth manifests through inner conviction, not external validation. The beginning of every great fortune, every prosperous life, is not found in outer resources, connections, or approval from others. It is rooted in a deep, unshakable belief within. Conviction is the invisible foundation upon which visible abundance is built. It is the certainty that what you desire is already yours in essence, even before it arrives in form. This inner certainty becomes the magnet that draws all necessary elements, opportunities, ideas, support, and timing, into alignment. When you rely on external validation to believe in your wealth, you surrender your power. You become dependent on what is temporary and fleeting. But when your belief is anchored within, you are immovable. You are no longer seeking proof, you are walking as proof. True conviction is quiet and constant. It does not waver with changing circumstances. It does not seek reassurance from the world. It speaks silently to the universe with unwavering faith. This faith is not blind, it is deeply intuitive. It knows that wealth, like all good things, is first born in consciousness. Before it ever shows up in your bank account, your business, or your daily life, it must live within your thoughts, emotions, and identity. You must see yourself as wealthy, speak as if wealth is natural, and move through the world with the energy of one who already has what they seek. External validation is a trap of the ego. It seeks applause, agreement, and proof. It needs others to say, "Yes, that's possible," before it can believe it itself. But wealth does not arise from consensus. It arises from clarity. The masses often fear what they do not understand, and they project their own limitations onto others. If you look to them for permission, you will dilute your own vision. You will bend, hesitate, or abandon your path entirely. But when your conviction is strong, you can walk alone without fear. You can build in silence without praise. You can wait in faith without rushing or explaining. You are not controlled by appearances, because you are aligned with the unseen truth. Conviction is a spiritual force. It is not simply positive thinking or motivational enthusiasm. It is a knowing that overrides doubt. It is the frequency of certainty, and the universe responds to that frequency with precision. When you truly believe in your wealth, doors open. Not because you are lucky, but because your energy has become a match to the reality you are calling in. The law is clear like a tracks like. If your inner world is steeped in lack, fear, or desperation, that vibration will be mirrored externally. But if your inner world is saturated with peace, trust, and expectation of abundance, then abundance must follow. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of alignment. This inner work is often invisible to others. They may not see what you are building. They may question your choices or misunderstand your silence. But spiritual maturity knows that wealth does not require advertisement in its early stages. It only requires belief. External validation is noisy and fragile. It fades the moment opinions change. But inner conviction is eternal. It does not rise and fall with the economy. It does not depend on applause or agreement. It stands firm, rooted in divine law. To cultivate this level of conviction, you must train your mind daily. You must feed it with truth. Surround it with images and words that affirm your wealth, and eliminate everything that contradicts your desired state. You cannot declare abundance and then speak lack in conversation. You cannot visualize prosperity and then dwell in worry. Conviction demands consistency. It asks you to become the living embodiment of your desire. Not in pretense, but in energetic alignment. You begin to think, feel, and act from the vibration of already having. This is not fantasy, it is the creative process at work. When your conviction deepens, your need for proof disappears. You are no longer waiting for the world to show you wealth. You are showing the world what wealth looks like through your energy. You become the evidence. You radiate certainty, and that certainty makes people take notice. Opportunities begin to find you. Synchronicities appear. But you are not surprised. You are not shaken. You receive with grace, because you knew it was already yours. There is also a sacred detachment that comes with inner conviction. You are not desperate. You are not chasing. You are not begging the universe for scraps. You know that wealth is your divine birthright, and you are simply aligning with what is already promised. This detachment removes resistance. It allows the flow of abundance to reach you more quickly and with greater ease. You are not forcing, you are allowing. Not because you are passive, but because your inner state is so secure that there is nothing left to prove. External validation often creates a cycle of insecurity. When you depend on others to affirm your worth or your vision, you give away your spiritual authority. You begin to shape your actions based on what others think, rather than what you know. This weakens your vibration. It makes your journey slower and your manifestations unstable. But when your conviction is internalized, You move with freedom. You make bold decisions. You take inspired action without hesitation. You become immune to the noise of doubt around you, because you are attuned to the voice of truth within. Even when faced with challenges, the person with inner conviction does not collapse. They do not panic. They see setbacks as part of the process. They know that appearances are temporary, and what is true in spirit must eventually become true in form. They do not let the illusion of delay become a reason to quit. They hold their vision in the fire and allow it to be tested, knowing that what is real cannot be destroyed. Their conviction becomes stronger with every step, not weaker. They are refined by the process, not broken by it. Wealth that is built on conviction is lasting. It is not subject to the instability of trends or public opinion. It is not fragile. It is rooted in law, and law does not fail. The universe honors the soul who knows, not the soul who wishes or hopes or waits to be told, but the one who already believes. Your wealth does not come from outside of you. It is not something you chase. It is something you awaken within. And once awakened, it begins to shape your life in ways that cannot be explained by logic alone. It becomes a magnetic force that draws all good things to you with grace and certainty.